This is a CBS News Special Report. Hello, everyone. I'm Major Garrett in Washington. We want to take you to the White House, where President Biden is set to deliver remarks on the historic, simultaneous United Auto Workers strike against all of Detroit's big three automakers. Here's the president now.
Auto companies, I've been in touch with both parties since this began over the last few weeks and over the past decade. Auto companies have seen record profits, including the last few years, because of the extraordinary skill and sacrifices of the UAW workers. But those record profits have not been shared fairly, in my view, with those workers. Just as the Treasury Department has released a report pointing out that the most comprehensive report ever dealing with how unions are good for both union workers and non-union workers and the overall economy. Unions raise workers' wages, they said, incomes, increase home ownership, increase retirement savings, increase access to critical benefits like sick leave and child care, and reduce inequality, all of which strengthen our economy for all workers. That's because unions raise standards across the workplaces and entire industries, pushing up wages and strengthening benefits for everyone. That's why strong unions are critical to a growing economy and growing it from the middle out, the bottom up, not the top down. That's especially true as we transition to a clean energy future, which we're in the process of doing. I believe that transition should be fair and a win-win, for auto workers and auto companies. But I also believe the contract agreement must lead to a vibrant made-in-America future that promotes good, strong middle-class jobs that workers can raise a family on. Where the UAW remains at the heart of our auto economy, and where the big three companies continue to lead in innovation, excellence, quality, and leadership. Last night, after negotiations broke down, the UAW announced a targeted strike at a few big three auto plants. Let's be clear. No one wants a strike. Say it again. No one wants a strike. But I respect workers' right to use their options under the collective bargaining system. And I understand the workers' frustration. Over generations, auto workers sacrificed so much to keep the industry alive and strong, especially through the economic crisis and the pandemic. Workers deserve a fair share of the benefits they helped create for an enterprise. I do appreciate that the parties have been working round the clock. And when I first called them at the very first day of the negotiations, I said, please stay at the table as long as you can to try to work this out. And they've been around the clock, and the companies have made some significant offers. But I believe they should go further to ensure record corporate profits mean record contracts for the UAW. Let me say that again. Record corporate profits, which they have, should be shared by record contracts for the UAW. And just as we're building an economy of the future, we need labor agreements for the future. It's my hope that the parties can return to the negotiation table to forge a win-win agreement. To continue our active engagement, I'm dispatching two members of my team to Detroit, Acting Labor Secretary Julie Hsu and White House Senior Advisor Gene Sperling, both of them have been involved up to now, to offer their full support for the parties in reaching a contract. The bottom line is that auto workers help create America's middle class. They deserve a contract that sustains them in the middle class. So thank you very much. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Mr. President, at what point would you get directly involved in the negotiations? Should Hunter get a pardon, Mr. President?
President Biden leaving the Roosevelt Room after delivering remarks on a historic simultaneous strike by the United Auto Workers against the big three Detroit-based automakers. Historically, UAW strikes have been targeted at one automaker, feeling that resolution there would then lead to effects for other automakers. This time, the union is striking against all three. We want to bring in our senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe from the North Lawn of the White House. Ed, the president said record profits should bring about a record contract, clearly putting his White House at least nominally on the side of the striking workers.
Absolutely, which is no surprise given that this is the president who likes to say he is the most pro-union president, at least in modern American history, and one that's already been endorsed by elements of the AFL-CIO, although not the United Auto Workers, which of course is now on strike. What was also telling in his remarks is he talks about a clean energy future that is fair and win-win, because one of the sticking points in these negotiations has to do with the ongoing transition to electric vehicles and the fact that while they may be great for the environment, they're going to be tough on the auto worker world because it's going to require less labor fewer parts to construct those vehicles, even as this administration is pushing for their wider use and their wider development and providing incentives to the auto companies to put them together. But the news there, he says, is the acting labor secretary, Julie Hsu, and Gene Sperling, a longtime economic advisor to Democratic presidents who's been appointed to serve as a point person on this, will be in Detroit in the coming days to help the auto companies and the auto workers reach some kind of an agreement. The White House likes to point out he's been read into this since July, having met with UAW leadership, has had Labor Department and White House officials briefing him on a regular basis, including when he was overseas in the recent days in India and Vietnam. But we'll wait and see what, if anything else, he might do, given that this is a tricky one for him. He's pro-union, but he's also sensitive to the idea that a prolonged strike could cause effects on the economy, which, of course, is the leading issue right now for voters as we head into an election year next year. Major.
Ed O'Keefe at the White House, thank you very much. I want to bring in our senior transportation correspondent, Chris Van Cleef, who joins us from Wayne, Michigan. So about 13,000 workers are on the picket lines right now, as you well know. Chris, the UAW membership, about 146,000. Every strike deals with big issues related to wages, pensions, and working conditions. But this also has another dimension of concessions made in the past. Explain that to our audience.
Sure. Think back to the Great Recession, 2008. The big three automakers teetered on the verge of collapse. In order to keep them afloat, workers agreed to a lot of concessions. You saw GM and, at the time, Chrysler, now Stellantis, go into bankruptcy. Ford avoided bankruptcy. There was a government bailout. Workers made a bunch of sacrifices. They now want to unwind many of those. They also would like to see a 4-day work week and pensions return. Those two are non-starters for the auto companies. They are moving on some of those concessions, restoring or getting rid of some of the structure that was created after 2008 that helped allow the automakers to have really a decade-long run here of pretty remarkable profits. They're also, pay, of course, is always a big factor here. The auto workers came in seeking about a 40% raise. The auto companies are closer to about 20% in their latest offers. We talked with Mary Barra, the CEO of General Motors, today about all of this, and she said part of what they have tried to do is not only offer a 20% raise, but also offer a protection to existing workers as they are making this transition to electric vehicles. You know, they assemble their own batteries so they can reassign, retrain people to go into the components for the electric vehicles in addition to the assembly of them. But she also has to balance the fact that non-union companies, competitors like Tesla and Toyota, their labor costs are far lower than the unionized big three. So when they make a contract, she told us quite frankly, if they agreed to all of the things the auto workers wanted, it would result in a company that would go into bankruptcy. So they don't want that, but they do want a deal, and they would like to get back at the table and get it done.
Chris Van Cleef, thank you so much. Joining us now, senior business and technology correspondent Jolene Kent. Jolene, what are the broader implications for the U.S. economy if this strike becomes what the president said he doesn't want to see, a prolonged standoff?
Major, we could see a hit to U.S. economic productivity. GDP, according to Bank of America, could take a hit of 1 to 2/10 of a percentage point per week as this goes on. But the bigger picture here is, what does this mean for consumers? If you look at how much this will cost American consumers in the economy, one economic group says that a 10-day strike would result in $5.6 billion in losses. About $2 billion of that is expected to fall on the shoulders of consumers, whether it's you trying to get your car fixed and you can't get that done, or if it's a dealership that's unable to staff and have to furlough or lay off workers. We could also see, if this strike continues and is prolonged, an impact on the supply chain as well. We expect to see impacts on parts manufacturers. The people who are making headlights and catalytic converters and brakes could also be impacted. The other thing that we really have to focus on here is, what does this mean for the Fed and for interest rates? Because right now, as you know, car inventory overall is still not as high as pre-pandemic levels back in 2019. And so as a result, car prices are still pretty high. We did see some encouraging news. Used car prices did start to come down over the past, past several months here, but that could end up being raising prices again. The strike could end up pushing those prices back up because supply is down. And that, of course, if you look at the broader economic picture, could be really painful for consumers. We're now facing people having to start repaying their student loans again, and we're looking at a potential government shutdown. And of course, those higher interest rates make it really expensive to borrow money. And so that sort of tuck and move towards recessionary behavior could be really painful for some consumers out there if this strike continues to be a prolonged situation. Major.
Jolene Kent, thank you so very much. I want to let you know our coverage will continue on CBS News Streaming, your local news, and tonight on the CBS Evening News. This has been a CBS News Special Report. I'm Major Garrett in Washington. Good day.